Hi there, it's Clare Church here from Ray of Hope Therapies. I've been looking at some videos on YouTube, and it's astrologically looking at an amazing conjunction that is going on from today. Now, this is Jupiter Neptune in Pisces, the house of Pisces. So it's going on till May. And you may feel some of the things that I'm going to talk about. And apparently it only happens every 166 years. So I thought it was worth summarizing 3 videos that I checked out. So it saves people, especially on my group, time and energy looking at those videos, although they're all really excellent. Because what happens is the energy of the astrologer comes across, and that in itself is really interesting because they all look at it differently, as I'm finding. I seem to only go for the same 3. The first one I've got is Tanya Gabrielle, and she's American and has a very sort of high vibration. She's very ethereal feeling to what she says. Now, Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces, so she says, and again, it only happens every 166 years. Neptune is the current ruler of Pisces, because each astrological sign, as many people know, will have a ruler, and it will affect that person and the energy of the person. I've definitely noticed this in the last couple of years, maybe more actually, myself. So Pisces is a beautiful sign. It's the last one really in the zodiac. And it's a lot to do with unconditional love, as she says. It's the highest expression of that. And it's definitely starting now, but it's been building, and it really goes on into May as well. So I felt it personally in my dreams. I'd be really interested if you put below my video or the one in Ray of Hope group what you felt, and have you had dreams, and have they been more vivid, have they been more colourful? So she mentions in numerology the date 12th of the 4th 2022, and turns out numerology, I can't say it, in numerology as being 13, and there are 13 lunar cycles and 13 weeks in each season, she said. So it's kind of a special number. And this is at 23 degrees of Pisces. So it's always shown as a circle, and it's like the old protractor, you can see the degrees, but I've not actually checked that out, but they've all said that that's what it is. And Jupiter is about faith, wisdom, and expansion. So it's going to sort of expand and make bigger some of the feelings and energy that's there. And Neptune is also very much, as Tanya says, is about dissolution of judging. And Jupiter is the biggest planet, and it expands things. Sorry, I'm reading my notes as usual. I wish I knew it off by heart. And it's about dreamlike journey, about faith, living as one together, faith in spirituality, and that we are eternal beings. There's also shadow side. 2 of the astrologers talked about like the positive side and the shadow side, of which we all have the same positive side and a negative, if you like, shadow side, as we call it, things we have to work on. And this is no exception. So it can feel a bit like being trapped in an illusion at times, possibly. Might be bits on almost like self-betrayal. Stop listening. We might stop listening to our intuition and listen instead to the ego mind. And we can sort of feel a bit like a victim, she said. So she also mentioned that the Piscean age was 2,000 years, and it was the age of victimhood, judging, etc. And so we as humanity were shown that. I found that really interesting. And now we're moving into the age of Aquarius, which is different and out of victimhood. And so we must remind ourselves to be in love with everything and everyone really we see, if you like, as a reflection of the divine, or we are in judgment. So it's kind of, one or the other, really. Non-judging is very difficult. Try it for a whole day. It's a massive challenge. But it's amazing if you do that. So it's about wisdom of the heart. And she mentioned, I like the analogy. She said something about colorblind is if you're colorblind. So it's like non-judging, you just can't see colors or anything. So you don't judge. And the mind is the thing that does judge, and we need to observe and see where we judge and where we don't. And that in itself is an interesting exercise. So, and also she said, like, the mind shows us externally what is wrong, but we need to see inside ourselves. And that's about going inward through the heart and not to judge others. So the heart operates from wisdom only as well. And we need to accept and trust that, and we need to be in integrity with ourselves. And what else? We can integrate the light and dark, and stop comparing ourselves as well. So we need not try to be perfect. There's this thing at the moment, isn't there? All the social media, it pressurizes young people particularly, but many people pressurizes us to think, oh, we haven't got the same light. Oh, we don't look the same. Oh, I need to use one of those apps. It gets rid of my lines and things. I've even found myself doing it, colour of my hair. But we don't need to do it. It's just technology has sort of allowed us to do it, really. So mentioning Jupiter and Neptune coming together and seeing blessings, and that Pisces invites the divine into our life, and Jupiter inspires the faith in the divine. We need to listen to the subtle realms. I liked that when she said that. I love the subtlety of it, and receive like divine feminine energy, because that's more subtle, if you like. And Pisces is about compassion and self-forgiveness, and the heart does not judge, and Pisces helps us let go and find the heart, and cleanses with water as well. The water aspect is very strong. So we have the wisdom we need in our heart and see the natural flow she talked about, and suspend judgment. And we have the conjunction as well in our birth chart. So it's there somewhere. I went on to see lovely Braca Goldsmith, who's so inspiring and just so full of positive energy. She's exactly like an elf type person, I think. She mentioned it being once every 166 years. And so guess when the next one is? 2188. So it's a privilege to be here with it. And she just talked more in practical terms, how can we use it? And she said, so it enhances imagination. And so, like, dream big. So it enhances your intuition. Someone somewhere in my notes has said it links with the pineal gland, which we talk about actually in my chakra part of the de-stress you, very much linking in with third eye, being able to vision things, get visions, and also a feeling of oneness and feeling other people's feelings even. And I felt a massive increase in this recently. It's like along the lines of psychic thoughts as well, even so how people are feeling. I've even had hits off people, like what they've felt, and it's kind of making us realize, well, hang on, there's a highway up there and it's transmitting information and we can tune into it. But it really shows us we're really all part of the same thing. So it's about tuning into each other. And she mentioned, funnily enough, she went off into her own world. She meant to mention about be romantic. And I liked it. It's so sweet. She sort of said about sharing things. So share a song, give flowers, give a flower, about nature, use candles, listen to birdsong, romantic films, and that romantic energy is creative. Create new paintings, new artwork, share that creative energy, and tenderness. She mentioned Pisces is about tenderness, and look for the sacred, because it's really sacred. And it's also actually a holy week, as she mentioned. It's Easter coming up for us, many of us. Greek Easter in a couple of weeks. I think she mentioned it's Jewish Passover as well, she mentioned. So it's a lovely time. And look for miracles, and healing miracles might be quite coming up, might be more common. And Pisces helps us have faith in possibilities and lots of magic happening. So look for the miracles, she mentions. It's really, really nice. I've seen a few over the years. And so it would be amazing to see more, really. And it sort of means suspend judgment and go with the flow and the positive vibration. And also feeling calm and quiet inside. Meditation is lovely as well to connect with it. Be in nature, gardening's amazing. She actually sort of had a stream of people telling her what they thought about it, and they said things like relax with their pets, cooking, looking at the stars. I do that loads actually. Knitting. Oh, I'm doing some knitting at the moment. Sewing, crocheting, anything that will connect you with creativity. And then I went on to, I would say, like the Queen Bee lady of astrology in Britain, who is amazing, Pam Gregory. And she mentioned it being a mutable water sign. I always forget what that means. And she explained it's unbounded. So, it's totally expansive. And Jupiter expands it even more, this conjunction. And Neptune links with the sea, as we know, king of the sea. And she said, well, Jupiter's slow moving. It's got a 12-year orbit, a year per sign generally. And it's quite often about success or about recognition. So maybe expect some of that. That would be really good. And Neptune, well, that has a 165-year orbit, according to her, and 14 years in each house. So it's much more subtle, the feeling from Neptune. And it comes together. So she said they come together every 13 years, but in Pisces, they come together every 166 years. And it was last in 1856. And it's a super sensitive. She said it was the most sensitive water sign, Pisces. I'm water, I'm Scorpio. And you've also got Cancer. And there, I thought Cancer was the most sensitive, but it shows maybe that's the most compassionate, actually. God knows what Scorpio is. We don't have the best reputation. Anyway, that's another subject. So lots of emotional release and tears and more shadow sort of work. We can do shadow work, really, being aware of things coming up, if you like. She mentioned as well, literally, it can be symbolic, but it could mean flooding. I think she mentioned somewhere in my notes, Belgium and Germany that had flooding recently when one or both of these signs occurred. I think it was. And it can also be linked to deceit actually being exposed and revealed on the negative shadow side. She also mentioned like film, because in 1856, she said photography was being developed. I don't know, but and also even connecting to oil and therefore fuel. I've noticed actually there's less petrol at my local station, gas station, so petrol station. And also about inflation. Well, it is at a high, it has to be said, at the moment, 40-year high or something in the US and UK or something like that. And she even mentioned buying goods now. I don't want to cause any sort of runs on anything, but basically because this price increase going on. She also mentioned, going back to like the astrology of it, mystic. It's a mystic sign, and it can on the shadow side lead to grandiosity. When sort of spiritually aware or educated people become a bit too grandiose, so and they expand. So I'll be looking out for myself for that and other people. So just watch that. And she also mentioned expansion of virtual reality, which is massively popular, isn't it? So that might be happening a lot. And the positive vibes, she mentioned very many times, and I've watched loads of her videos. She's mentioned this several times, and how fine the energy is, and of a high vibration, and divine, magical, mystical, great for manifesting as well. And I think she talked about if you manifest it in the present tense. So I am already finding great parking spaces, she mentioned. And my one today was, I am entertaining my dog really easily. As if, anyway. Sacred energy, she mentioned, interconnection of all living beings, and it reminds us of the sort of sense of coming from source. And she'd had, I think I already mentioned the pineal gland, she mentioned, and like this interspecies. So in other words, connection with animals, maybe plants, but being more aware of how they feel. We can tune into them possibly more easily at this point. And also dissolving of the ego and wanting to be of service. So, which is a lovely thing, really, if more people did that. And dreaming of the possibilities. And so she mentions a dream journal, and that if you've just had an amazing dream, you're in that half state when you're waking up. Just be aware. Don't open your eyes straight away. She said, I thought it was really good advice, and just try and think back. What was that dream? It was actually you've gone to the astral planes, and you kind of half like connected with the physical. When you open your eyes, you're in the physical again. So if you can remember and then open your eyes and have your book ready to write, or write as soon as you can get to your book. And then also what she mentioned, and this is to do with the subconscious and the higher guidance coming in, and that that basically, I've forgotten what I was going to say because some message just blipped up on me. Well, she mentioned water sweeping away the old structures. And she did a nice analogy. She sort of compared it with scuba diving or snorkeling. Well, I'm just about the worst snorkeler in the world, but I did appreciate when I did that in Egypt. I could see it's the most amazing world under me. It was terribly, terribly wavy in January, actually. But you can see like the fish that you don't normally see, beautiful colours, vibrancy. And the fact is that the world is all there. It's just that in this period, particularly, we can see the beauty of it more. We can see things differently. She mentioned, interestingly, that this is a tipping point, and after this, it becomes a bit more revolutionary, as if we haven't had enough of that, but it's kind of necessary for the changes and the transition that's going on. And so she also mentioned about unifying and unconditional love of this period, unifying, bringing together. And so that's the summary of those three amazing astrological brains and what they've given us. So I'm very grateful to that. And I hope I'm not breaking any rules by just summarising it. I'd just like to say quickly as well, I've organised Beltane meeting, which is the 1st of May. And that's on the Wheel of the Year. So Beltane's the spring, beautiful spring, early summer celebration, really more spring. And it's very much about fertility, bringing things into creative action, and we can discuss more about that at that time and do meditation, maybe basic ritual, and discuss the customs. So that's 1st of May. I think I was doing that 7 o'clock to 8:30, and then on the 16th of this month, it's the full moon in Libra. And that is about balancing and aesthetic beauty, love. And Libra likes everything to be balanced. So we'll talk a bit more about that energy, probably do a meditation as well. So I'll just make that roughly an hour, and I can record it and share it to the group. So it'd be great to be speaking to people live as well. I'll probably do that on Zoom. I don't think I've organised that yet, so I'll get that out soon. Anyway, that's the summary. Hope you have a great evening and really enjoy this amazing conjunction going on. I wasn't sure the date in May, but it sounds like it go on to early to mid-May, something like that. So hope you've had a heads up from me. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye for now.